Yo, what is up, guys? So we're gonna be talking about the BES deck, aka the big giant battleship deck that summons a bunch of boss monsters. I mean, they have a card called Boss Rush. If you guys didn't see what this archetype did a while back, it came out, you added counters to them, and then once they ran out of counters, it just kind of got destroyed. That's kind of how the deck worked. However, they released some new support, well, not super long ago, but it's technically, it is newer support for the archetype. And for like a good solid couple days when it first got introduced, I saw so many people playing the deck. Now, what the deck does, and we're going to be showcasing off a really good duel from Childish Yeezy here and Gonzo here, and it's against Subterrors, and it's actually a pretty good duel. I don't even know who wins yet. I watched the replay up to like halfway. I'm like, okay, I gotta share this with my viewers because it's a pretty cool duel over here. There's so many games in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you just don't see the interaction between two different decks like this, because Subterrors, they actually have quite a bit of boss monsters in their arsenal as well. I mean, they can get a lot of attack with a monster, which we will see later on. So basically, the whole archetype is all around these big monsters that have pretty decent attack, and then they all get an additional 500 attack and defense. And then on top of that, your opponent cannot target them with card effects, and they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So that really limits the plays that your opponent can do. Now, he was able to reduce attack to 0, and there's also tons of Subterrors that actually get a lot of attack, which we'll see. But on top of that, you've got, like, again, these boss monsters that are immune to being targeted and destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And then on top of that, Boss Rush makes it so during the end phase of the turn that a BES monster or a big core is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one BES monster or one big core from your deck. So basically lets you get out whatever you really need to get out. Usually it's just big beaters, though. That's really what it comes down to. But he's able to make number 21 Frozen Lady Justice, which can actually detach a material, then destroy all defense position monsters your opponent controls. Which, hey, Subterrors, a lot of them, they gotta set themselves into defense mode, and most of the time that is in defense. You could technically have an attack position face down monster, but it's not really realistic in an actual duel. But anyways, he's gonna go ahead and make some cards over here. He's gonna be putting them face down, but he's gonna flip the Behemoth Ultra Mafus face up, and it's got 6,500 attack. So the guy that's running the boss monster deck is kind of in a bad situation here, because that's all this deck really does. Now, there is a card that can move something into defense mode, which we will see later down the line. However, one problem with that is link monsters cannot be moved to defense position. That's just the way that they work. So that is pretty interesting. Over here we've got, oh, here's Crystal Core over here. So during your main phase, you can change one face of attack position your opponent controls to defense position, but that's not going to really help out versus the Link monster. He's going to go ahead and flip up the Subterra Ultra Mafus over here, and it's going to flip everything, all other face-up monsters on the field to face down defense position, which actually gets around the whole Zelos thing, because that's usually what people you know, rely on. But the thing is that this brings out another set of boss monsters, because the boys are coming back, and I'm like, dude, this is actually a pretty decent deck. And I want to say it's a budget-friendly, like, boss monster-oriented deck, because you don't invest too much into your plays. I'm not sure why he decided to go for that play, Thousand Eyes Restrict, because I'm thinking maybe he thought he could just, like, absorb a monster, but he cannot actually target them. So that kind of put him behind over there. But this one card, the Link monster mechanic, it just shows you the evolution of Yu-Gi-Oh! Here, where this deck, it just can't put, like, once there's a bigger boss monster on board, I don't know what this deck does, because normally it would just move something to defense position, but, like, you can't do that. Like, I guess Marshmallow would be another card where I guess you could, is it changing, was it face up attack? Does it have to be attack position? I was thinking maybe Marshmallow would actually lose that, because it would move it to attack position, you can attack into it. But anyways, it's just kind of funny to see, like, his deck that is based off of just big monsters can't get over this monster. And this guy can't really deal with this, because it's just going to bring out other bigger boss monsters. So I don't really know who's going to win. Like I said, I watched up, actually this is further than I've seen so far. Hold on. Right now, I want you guys to comment down below. Who do you think is actually going to win? The BES, the big spaceship deck over here. Actually, if you guys want to know what BES actually stands for, it actually translates like giant spaceship. But anyways, it was supposed to be Bacterian Empires. I was like, what? Are they bacteria battleships? I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me if it's from the anime. But who do you think is going to win? I mean, I want to say that, like, this guy actually might deck out over here. Because this guy, he did actually put some of his cards back. And he was cycling through his cards much faster. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have your money on? I got my money on the BES deck, actually decking out the other guy that's playing Subtitles, but I really have no idea. Maybe Hanzo will pull out a scatter arrow and completely destroy him. But again, once again, just summoning more boss monsters. Also, for the person that emailed me a while back ago and asked, like, what's a good deck that I can make, like, you know, a really good, like, boss monster deck? Well, I suggested Quasar was one of the coolest boss monsters. Oh, he actually beat him. Okay, never mind. Well, that was quick. I thought he was going to deck him out. But I remember saying, like, oh, Quasar is probably one of the biggest, like, most boss monsters. But the problem is it gets tributed. With this deck, if you get tributed, you literally don't invest into anything. Like, with plants, you make that one Quasar dragon, especially now with Lynx. You've invested pretty much most of your extra deck, and at that point, like, you have no, like, second, like, you know, come back with it. Generally, when you make Quasar, you hope that that's going to be a game. For those of you guys that do want the BES deck profile, I got it for you guys over here, because I just felt like it was a deck that just fell off. Like, it just, no one's talking about it anymore. And for the first couple days that, like, when they announced, like, all these cards, I remember back to back, it was just, I played it constantly when I was live streaming the games, and it was just, this deck was really, really powerful at the time. But as things go on, you know, things, you know, get outclassed in the meta of Yu-Gi-Oh! But thank you, Childish Easy, for sending in the replay. Really good showcase of the deck. I feel like there could be some other cards that we can add to the deck, but let me go and give you guys a deck profile. For those of you guys that might be interested in trying out the deck yourself, they each have an effect where they basically add counters. Again, this is an older mechanic to, like, the archetype. Now, that's not really that relevant because even if they go away, you just get another one anyways, because Boss Rush, completely fair. Actually, I mean, I don't know if I would consider it OP, but at the same time, like, you just get out, like, another boss monster after they've, like, gotten rid of it. But anyways, so they have, again, a lot of that effect where you're able to place counters on it, and then each time it battles, you remove a counter. So I'm just not going to explain that part, other than when it's summoned, you place, like, 3 counters on it. And then in addition to that, the field spell also adds one, what is it, yeah, you place 1 counter on it with the field spell cards. So basically, whatever the counters that you get like a +1, because pretty much you're going to get out most of them with the effect anyways via the special sub. Now, you can only get one of them out, but we'll get into that in a second. So they each have, like, their own effect. I remember playing the deck when it, like, first came out. So anyways, again, if they battle, you have to remove a counter. And then if you cannot, like, get rid of the, if it cannot remove counter, you instantly destroy the card. And then also, you can banish this card from your graveyard to shuffle all BES monsters from your graveyard into the deck. So theoretically, it's difficult to deck out in this deck. If you happen to have this, you obviously reset everything. And there's also technically multiple Jar of Outers, which I feel like you don't need, because the way I see this deck, and let me know if you guys agree with me on this, if you've gone through, like, multiple of the boss monsters, you should have one, and it just opens up potential dead draws. Skill Drain, however, I recommend playing that card. Indeed, that card's actually amazing in the deck. But anyways, yeah, so we have, like, pretty much 3 of, like, each of, like, the boss monsters here. So we got the big core MK, 3 guys of him. The covered core, he only gets to put 2 counters on it, but it's the same effect where it's like you remove a counter. And then if this card battles without a counter, you destroy it at the end of the damage step. So again, it's pretty much really relevant. However, if this card is attacked, you have to toss a coin, and you call it right or wrong, and then you remove a counter on it if you call it wrong. You got some coin tossing in the deck as well, but pretty much it's, again, they're just big beaters, and if they die, you have this card to bring them back anyways, pretty much. And we have 3 copies of NK2. So this card, you place 3 counters on it, and then again, it's just you remove the counter if it battles. And this one has, like, no extra special effect. That's MK2. And then we have 3 copies of Big Core. So this is just a 2300 attacker. This one gets 3 counters on it, and then pretty much the same. If it battles, you remove a counter, and if you can't, you just destroy the card. And then we have 3 copies of the Tetron over here. This card has the ability to put 3 counters on it, and then once per turn, you can remove 1 counter on this card, destroy 1 spell or trap card on the field. So this can get rid of your opponent's back row. But the main problem I think that this deck had, which you guys obviously saw, with the exception of drawing this card, is potentially just bigger monsters to deal with them. And then we have 3 copies of Crystal Core. So Crystal Core is the one where you get to move the position. During your main phase, you can change one face-up attack position from monster your opponent controls to face-up defense position. Okay, so never mind. Going back to the Marshmallow point, Marshmallow would still, I guess, kind of work against this deck because they do not do piercing damage. If they did, then obviously Marshmallow would not be a good card against this deck, but I guess it would be a good card against the deck, interestingly enough. But anyways, next up, we have 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. Then we have 1 Maxi. So these are like the budget hand traps, I would say, over here. It's not the Ash Blossom. And then we have 2 copies of Pot of Desires. I'd say just play 3, and that's my suggestion to you guys. Because this deck, like, it's kind of like go big or go home. It's a really quick deck. You're going to determine if you're going to win or lose pretty much within the first few turns, I would say. Most of the time. Although that duel is pretty good. And then we have 3 copies of Terraforming, because you really need the field spell to get the deck going. Like, I would throw an Upstart in here and just cut something else. And we got Limit Removal. I feel like there's a Win Harder. Most of these things can run over majority of monsters in the game already, but yeah, it can be there just as like, I'm going to win harder. Go for it. We have 3 copies of Twin Twisters, 3 copies of Boss Rush. So this makes it so you cannot normal summon or set during the end phase of the turn. Then a BS, this is the one where like it brings them back. Really insane stuff. And then we have 3 copies of Zealous over here. So this one lets you add a Boss Rush. So this card gives you this card for free. And then on top of that, it gives them the boost and then makes them immune to being destroyed by card effects or targeted. And then you can once per turn special summon a BS monster from your hand. And then it places the counters on it when they're normal or special summon. So pretty much you're going to be able to just get out, you know, your monsters. It's really like important for the deck to have these 2 cards, and obviously it's pretty easy. Although Twin Twisters can kind of ruin the day against us. But I found a lot less people main decking like triple copies of it, because this deck, it really does need like these cards. But if you don't have it quickly, like the deck will go very fast and you can just deplete your opponent out of the resources. But next up, we have 3 copies of Jar of Avarice, then with 1 skill drain. I think this makes the deck so much stronger, because you have all these boss monsters, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of something, and then eventually these cards are going to go away without the counters. You flip up skill drain, your opponent's like, okay, I really regret Twin Twistering too early on, or they get rid of, like, you know, your back row, and then you flip up this, it's just game over sometimes. As far as the extra deck goes, we did see like 2 cards that I haven't seen in a while. We saw the camera card, which negates the effects of a 5 or higher effect monster that your opponent controls. And then we also saw number 21, Frozen Lady Justice, which I haven't seen this card in quite a long time, but it gets rid of all the defense position monsters, which your opponent might actually have some things in defense because they're trying to stall. But in addition to that, obviously you can use the Crystal Core to put something in defense mode as well, as you guys saw from the replays. But other than that, the cards that we did not see in the replays, number 38, which can negate the spell cards, and then we have Thunder and Dragon. So what's really cool with this is when you're destroying your other cards, the Boss Rush actually lets you get out the effects of itself, getting out those other BES monsters, because it doesn't have to be destroyed by your opponent's card effect to get that effect. So that was actually, I think, showcased in the replay too. Like some of the stuff, he destroyed his own monsters, just got extra monsters anyways. But anyways, next up we have number 23 at Lancelot. We got number 15, the Sea Castrum over here. I actually don't even know what the heck this is. We didn't see it in the replay. But during the player's turn, you can banish 1 random face down monster from your opponent's extra deck face up, and if you do, this card's attack becomes equal to the banished monsters. Okay, that's a really interesting effect. I mean, you can kind of find out what your opponent is playing. But then during either player's turn, you can detach material from this card that target one of your opponent's banished fusion synchro XYZ monsters, return to the extra deck, and if you do, destroy 1 monster your opponent controls with these, I'm guessing like the same type fusion synchro. Okay, that's a really interesting card. Wish it included links. Cool. Then we have Naruto the Moral Leader, Photon Strike Bouncer, and then we have Cyber Dragon Infinity, because they do happen in the machine, you can still make those. We have Adrius, I remember Tyrus, Adrius, those were like staple rank 5s. And then we have Shark Fortress and Cyber Dragon Nova, of course, to go for your Infinity. So pretty cool stuff over here. Let me know, guys, what you would take out and add into the deck. But I think this is a cool like little boss deck. Maybe you guys are tired of the meta, and if you do not like links, this could definitely be a deck for you, because I don't think I would want to link someone majority of the time. But if you want to, you know, you do have those options. But I would say this is definitely a deck that can function without links so much. But hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing something a little bit different, because we haven't talked about this deck in a while. Heck, no one talking about BES, the big spaceships, in a while. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button to see more Yu-Gi-Oh videos.